didn't get blisters, and I'm going to do a separate video on that, because we saw so many people in absolute agony with their feet, and it's worthwhile, I think, me sharing what we did to stop that happening. And we broke some of the normal rules. Normally people say you buy your walking shoes, your hiking boots, and wear them in before you go. Well, I did. I bought a set of Ultra Lone Peaks, which were fine, didn't give me blisters, but made my Achilles tendon ache after about 4 days, and I had them for about 6 months and wore them every day. So I had to buy a new pair. So I bought a pair of Merrells off the shelf, expecting to get blisters, and didn't. And my partner Gabby, we bought her shoes the day before we left, and she didn't get blisters all the way through. So I'm going to share that in a separate video, and probably produce that next week. So what else did we learn? One of the things that we talked to a lot of people about is what they were going to do after the Camino. And some people were going straight home because they had no more time to spare, and some people said, well, we're going to do a side trip. We don't want to leave the Camino and go back to our normal life back home, so we're going to do something else. And in fact, that's what we actually did. We took a 10-hour bus ride into Portugal, into Lisbon, and stayed in Lisbon for 3 days, and then went to stay at a friend's Airbnb that I've known for 20 odd years, and that was a holiday. We weren't on the walk, we weren't on a schedule, and it sort of allowed us to ease out of the Camino routine. After that, we spent 3 days in Paris and 3 days in London, because I wanted to go and see my mum. So that sort of eased us out of the Camino without the shock of stopping it and then getting back to normal life. And I think we'd probably do that again, because it made a big difference. People sometimes feel a bit hollow after finishing the Camino. They're, what's next? So what else? Because we didn't get blisters, there was no need to carry a second pair of shoes. I carried a comfortable pair of shoes to wear in the evenings, and found that, to be honest, I just wore the hiking shoes. We did wash them out completely a few times to get the smell away. But yeah, if you're worried about blisters, take a pair of flip-flops. But I don't think there's any need for a second pair of comfortable shoes. We took 2 pairs of long pants, 2 pairs of shorts, all the normal stuff. And to be honest, didn't need the second pair of long pants, and could have got on and away with 1 pair of shorts, to be honest. The one thing I did make a mistake on was waterproofs. I bought a cheap, flimsy set of waterproofs. They weren't hiking ones, they were just normal wear over your clothes waterproofs. And my partner Gabby bought some off of Amazon, which were very good quality, excellent, really nice, both the trousers and the jacket. And I found that my waterproofs weren't waterproof. I think it's worthwhile investing in a decent hiking jacket, particularly in the April-May time, because it was quite chilly in the mornings, and the higher you got up the mountains, it did get quite cold. Fortunately, I had a fleece I could wear underneath, but I think it's worthwhile investing in some decent outerwear, which was a mistake that I made. I didn't think it was going to rain, but I wouldn't do that again. The other thing we used frequently was gloves, thin walking, hiking, just normal gloves, because it was cold in the morning and it was cold at the top, and we probably wore them for the first 3 weeks, something like that, and it would have been yeah, uncomfortable without them. In terms of water, we didn't actually carry that much. It wasn't that hot to begin with. But towards the end of the trip, where it starts to get warm, probably the last 350, 250 kilometers, we only carried small bottles of water, sometimes only one, because you go through so many villages, and there's always places to stop, and we'd stop for coffee and juice and breakfast and all the normal stuff. So we didn't really carry that much water. I mean, later in the walking season, then yes, you would, but early on, it's unnecessary weight. We did carry some fruit and the chocolate and nuts and stuff just to snack on the way, but some of the routes, some of the stages, you were passing through villages every 2 or 3 kilometers. At the start, maybe not so much, maybe 6 or 7 kilometers between villages, but later on, yeah, it was, yeah, stops everywhere. And the one thing we did learn is you walk down the path, you get to a village, you want a cup of coffee, you want a croissant or something, and everybody stops at the first cafe. Don't. Walk further into the village. They're much quieter. There's no queues, it's not noisy. There might be 4 or 5 places, but everybody stops at the first one. So my biggest tip for walking the Camino is don't go to the first one. Walk further into the village. It's much more pleasant. And finally, the thing that we did notice, there's a fair few people on the track all the way through. Some days, I don't know, the people disappear. You have the track to yourself, particularly in the early stages. But once you hit Sarria, it gets busy. It gets busy, it gets noisy, it gets crowded, because a lot of people do the last 100 kilometers. Fortunately, there's a lot of cafes and a lot of stops for that 100 kilometers, but you know, I turned around one day, looked behind me and looked in front of me, and there must have been 100 walkers in visual distance to me, whereas in the start sometimes you'd be lucky to see somebody. Other times, yeah, there would be 4, 5, 6, 10 people, but after Sarria it gets very, very commercial and quite pricey, so just be aware of that if you're going on the walk. You know, we stayed in Sarria as a rest day, and we saw the people getting out of taxis and walking through the streets to their hotels, not a backpack in sight, luggage, handles, wheels. They obviously had day packs. They were going to send everything forward and not carry anything with the baggage transfer. The baggage transfer, whilst I'm on that subject, works extremely well.